It's an honor to be the first person to kick off the party this morning. I just wanted to come here and really vouch for the importance of having a pedestrian link, a fixed link to the Toronto Islands. I've lived in this city my whole life, and the Toronto Islands is like a true jewel, as we all know, of our city. And here at City Hall, you hear certain words that are bandied around a lot, like equity and accessibility and inclusion and all these words we talk about a lot. And when you think about it, the Toronto Islands isn't any of that. It's not accessible. It's not inclusive. It's hard to get to. A lot of people don't want to deal with the crowds and the congestion that they have to deal with at Jack Layton Terminal. And even with the electric ferries coming, we don't know necessarily how that's all going to play out. A lot of it is theoretical. It's new technology. There's massive infrastructure work that needs to be done at the dockside to accommodate these electric ferries. And so that brings us still back to square one, which is how do we get people to the island so that they can enjoy green space that they rightfully deserve? And then we look at what's happening at Ontario Place and how much green space is lost there. What could have been if West Island was a beautiful, lush, green park that all taxpayers and residents could have enjoyed, but that ship has sailed. That's going to be a concrete spa. So that underscores the urgency of ensuring that Toronto Islands are available and accessible to people, especially because we live in a city where summer and spring is fleeting. It's a very short season. Half the year everyone's cooped up inside, it's cold and dark. And so when the days are longer and warmer, it's even more urgent that we facilitate an ability for Toronto residents to enjoy the Toronto Islands, okay? That's really my key point here. And I did read the report. It's a great report. And certainly there are major challenges. There's engineering challenges, there's of course financial challenges, but we gotta think big, right? If we wanna have a livable city with access to green space, we need to think big. There's different partnership types that we can explore, whether it's public-private partnerships. We can look to the provincial and federal government for assistance as well. But I really think that we need to truly look into the feasibility, viability of making this link happen. It's really important. And I'm not saying we don't want cars there, of course, but a way for people on a bike or rollerblades or walking or joggers to just go down Cherry Street on a nice, May, June day or evening and go hang out in the islands for a couple hours and then just go back through the Eastern Gap there. Just quickly on the technical side of things, I understand the gondola option is tough because you have major shipping barges going through the Eastern Gap. Those red path sugar barges are massive. They need a lot of height, they need a lot of width. So that makes the gondola option kind of difficult. You can't really have an operating gondola going over a barge. A drawbridge is also difficult, again, because there's a lot of traffic going in and out. I think the tunnel option has a lot of promise. I know it's expensive, digging into the ground, it always is, but we already have boring machines coming here and they're gonna be here for several years. Maybe we can borrow them when they're finished at the Ontario line. And I just think this is something we need to explore. We should certainly, I think the report said we should put together a task force, do some more detailed investigation and analysis and feasibility, look at some of the environmental impacts. I think the tunnel would mitigate some of the ecological impacts. And yeah, I just wanted to come here and just vouch to all the decision makers in the room that I think this pedestrian link is vital for the future of our city and will make it a lot more livable. Thank you.
Any questions for the deputant? Councillor Fletcher?
Good morning,
Morning.
everyone, deputant. Just there is a tunnel that exists already, so I'm just interested in your thoughts on that, because that tunnel that was built, I can't remember how much it was.
The Billy Bishop Tunnel.
To the island airport. So there's already a tunnel under from mainland to the island. Like, you might know how much that cost. Do you see any possibility of somehow using that instead of a brand new tunnel, because it's already been built, paid for, and I don't know about the engineering, but continuing it in a certain way rather than going to the airport, which is a restricted zone?
So that area, I've thought about that, and I know the Billy Bishop Tunnel was not inexpensive. It was in the orders of tens of millions of dollars. I think back in 2015, and certainly with inflation, a cost on the Eastern Gap would be much higher. But that's already a very, very congested intersection by virtue of having an airport there. There's a lot of travelers. It's not a very inviting, in fact, a lot of people don't even know there's a tunnel there. They just know there's an airport there. Perhaps there's some design opportunities where you could sort of make it a 2-in-1 type of situation and accommodate all that extra traffic. And that's certainly something that the task force should look at. But barring that, I think the Eastern Gap is a good option.
I hear that. But the fact on the Eastern Gap, it would be hard to accommodate a lot of cars as well. I heard you say, take your rollerblades, ride down Cherry, go across. Would you not think that's also kind of the same if that other tunnel, because both are the Port Authority would have to be involved. I'm sure you recognize that.
Yeah.
Both sets of lands for the beginning, that's all Port Authority land that would have the footing of a bridge or the entrance of the tunnel on the eastern side of the Eastern Gap, as well as that tunnel. So I don't know if we've really explored all the options with the Port Authority to the fullest.
Yeah, and certainly ownership of the lands is something that needs to be taken into account. Ports Authority owns some, Waterfront Toronto, and all these other various entities. I would think for a theoretical fixed link to the Eastern Gap, we don't want cars assembling down there. We don't want to attract motorists. We want to attract active people who want to go for walks and go for runs and bike rides and rollerblades. And we already have a great trail that stops at Polson, but I'm certain that eventually it'll go down to Cherry Beach. We're gonna have a potential streetcar route going down Cherry in the future. So it can still be viable, in my opinion, without having to accommodate cars.
Thing could be said for the other tunnel, because you're hoping people come on their rollerblades, on their bikes to cross over, because you can't drive your car on the island, right? And just for the land, who owns it? I don't think Waterfront Toronto owns any land. If we're looking at land ownership on the land side, not the island side, that is the federal port. Do you see, have you had any conversations with Ports Toronto or any of the kind of challenges that might be with digging up from there or putting something from there? Are you aware of what their feeling is? Because I'm
No, as a concerned citizen, I have not picked up the phone and called up Ports Toronto, but that's certainly a good idea. Maybe today I'll give them a call.
How's
or maybe
that?
you could talk to them on my behalf.
I will ask today what they're thinking.
There's a lot of stakeholders, a lot of intricate ownership details that would have to be sorted out, but I think the vision is the vision.
Great vision. Just, I'm going to ask today, find out from Ports Toronto. I'll ask when we have the questions to see what the status is there for you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Thank you so much.